ain't say that you had beef with Blue Cheese?
They think they're so high and mighty.
All right. Well, this is Beef with Blue Cheese, and this is the High and Mighty Home Field Advantage episode. Welcome in. Welcome in, and
Welcome back.
welcome back to Beef,
Beef
with
and
Blue Cheese.
cheese.
Yeah. This was an interesting album to revisit for me.
Yep.
I don't know if it. It's not to say I don't like it. I don't think it held up as well as I thought it was going to when we're listening. I like it, but I think I like it almost more for nostalgic reasons than I do for like if I heard it for the first time today.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like a mindless album. I can't say it's really deep or it's going to be something that's going to blow your mind. No,
Yeah,
it's going to be something that that you're going to get into because Mighty Mi's a good rapper. He has a lot of great sports references.
Eon,
Yeah,
Mr. Eon,
yeah.
Mighty Mi, yeah.
Yeah.
Mighty Mi is a great producer. Eon's a fun rapper.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, but they don't say anything in this album.
No. There's one song, I mean, The Meaning, that's about it, probably.
Yeah.
A couple verses in there. And then, I mean, they're just talking about just
a
fun,
lot
sports, drugs.
a lot of sports, sex. You know, there's nothing heavy in this whole album. It's really, but it's fun. And at the time, it fit in the time when I first listened to it. It was like different. I was just getting into understanding multi-syllable raps at the time, like kind of Eminem. It happened before that, but people rap like rhyming multiple syllables in a rap. You know, like where that's kind of separated. It seems more childish when you listen back and you hear like the raps that I would try to write when I was when I thought I wanted to be a rapper. You would just like you would rhyme one word and then look for another rhyme. But then Eminem to me was the first time I heard this guy's rhyming
multiple words in a sentence.
Multiple words in a sentence or rhyme with the next rhyme. So I think Mr. Eon does a little bit of that, and then looking back, it happened way more than Biggie did it. I don't think I realized what was happening until I am Eminem.
Yeah, I think Eminem is just a little bit more in your face, and you just
and
I guess
more
the way that he,
syllables.
I was going to say the way that he enunciates and just where he puts the emphasis on certain words, you just notice it a little bit more, and that's really probably why you kind of. Took to it or understood like, hey, this guy, you can rhyme multiple words within a line, and you don't have to rhyme the last word. You could rhyme the middle word or a couple of the words, and then it doesn't rhyme at all the last word. Whereas it used to have like a specific cadence, and Eminem kind of changed a lot of that with his style, and Eon to a degree has some of that in his rhyme style.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I bring up. Definitely, this album and Eminem were in my mind it was around the same time. So they came out, I think, the same year, right? Like Eminem's first album.
I think they were both in '99. Yeah, this might have been after Eminem's album or right before.
I think it was towards the end of the year, and Eminem's was the beginning of the year. So definitely another phase. Like we talk a lot about like albums introducing us to a new style of rap, but there's a lot of different styles of rap and a lot of different. There was like a stepping stones. There was because Mos Def is on this album.
Yep,
and I think
Mos Def, Pharoahe, Monch.
But like I think that kind of Mos Def was almost what ushered me into like the Rawkus era of like of the rap, because this was on Rawkus, and so like I think Mos Def probably is what got me to acknowledge like Sound Bombing and Lyrics Lounge. and then through that, this came out, and then Eminem is on on this album. So
yeah, 99 was a big year for them because I think the label started. Like the first record was like Sound Bombing or something like that in like 96 or 97. And then Lyricist Lounge came out right after that. And then Black Star came out right after that. So they were like a heavyweight. As soon as like a lot of that stuff came out, it was like, okay, yeah, Rawkus Records is like a big deal. I guess they were like bankrolled by Rupert Murdoch or something like that. So
his son. I looked that up. I didn't know that at the time. It was Rupert Murdoch's son. Bankrolled them, which to me is hilarious. You don't think
really interesting.
You don't think the Murdochs and rap music? Yeah, that goes hand in hand. They share the same space in my brain.
Yeah, and Lyricist Lounge. I mean, that was one of the ones that turned us on to a lot of this like underground, like New York, Connecticut type of rap that we didn't really know about before that. And because we were kind of looking for something else. So rap music was changing. I mean, we talked about it in the last episode with J. Rue, where like after 97, 98, it really started to deteriorate. You had like a lot of the juvenile, that southern type of rap, Midwestern type of rap that we really weren't into. Yeah. And we were looking for something else. And this obviously happened to come up right at that perfect time where we could be swayed in one direction or another, and this really, I think, influenced us and kind of helped us get back on track with the stuff that we were listening to.
Yeah, I remember on Black Star's album at one point, Talib Kweli shouted out like the underground rappers, and I don't know. I think he did by name. I think he might have even mentioned Wordsworth on that album. So like I heard that and I was like, all right, who are these guys? Who are these guys they're talking about? Like, cause that's just, that was the same kind of thing. I was like, all right, the popular rap is what J. Rue was talking about, which he was critical of, but then you realize, but it's not dead. It's underground. There's plenty of stuff happening underground, and this came out of that. This came out of
Yeah, what's crazy is that a lot of these albums were like big time albums. So they were, I mean, Black Star's album, I think went platinum or was like a real, almost a million. I know they had a ton of gold records and a ton of platinum records for a record label that obviously was not huge. But I mean, they ushered in between Lyricist Lounge, I know we were huge Wordsworth fans, and I mean Thurston Howell III was on that album. And but then then you had Black Star. That really is what started it off with like the big time albums, and then High and Mighty, Mos Def, and Pharoahe all came out in the same year in '99.
And Eminem showing up on those albums, on those albums too. Was definitely big.
Yeah, just gave him a little bit more legitimacy.
Yeah.
And the Beat Miners were on Rawkus, and they did the boot camp, a lot of the boot camp stuff.
Right.
I think then they do we talked about that a couple episodes ago. They did Helter Skelter's album, the first one, I think.
First
and then maybe
one,
like a couple songs on the second.
Couple songs on the second album, yeah.
Yeah.
But their first album was on Rawkus?
Yeah, it was like 2001-ish. It was on there.
I was trying to remember.
And they did a lot of the beats for Rawkus. So I don't know if they did Mos Def's album. I didn't look to see, but very possible just from the sound of it that they contributed to that album.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny. I love that album, but I don't know who produced a lot of that stuff.
I have no clue. I realize I'm just guessing.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny. I cared more about who was producing later on in life, I guess. So I didn't unless it was like obvious, unless people were your premieres and your all that. You got out of focus now? You're very out of focus.
What happened again? I'm
you look good.
I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. Now it's not coming back, of course.
You got an autofocus?
Yeah, as soon as I get the autofocus, then we don't. There's no auto. Come on, really? I mean, I mean, it's probably better off I'm out of focus, but
yeah, it's nice. Nice soft look.
Yeah, just I have no clue what the hell's going on.
I'm doing a podcast with the image of Bigfoot that everyone sees, the blurry image of Bigfoot.
Yeah. Hey, there we go.
So yeah, not a lot of. It's just fun. This album's just like kind of like a fun album, but they're not.
Yeah, I think I was more excited to do a deep dive into the whole story behind Rawkus Records and everybody else rather than kind of like the whole High and Mighty thing.
Yeah, it's just funny. I wonder what I would think if I listened to this album first time through. Because like I'm pulling when I was pulling little clips to play from the song, I'm like, he's just saying a bunch of nonsense right now.
I know.
Like,
but I had a hard time really picking like specific. To come
points.
Up like, man, I really gotta, and a lot of them were not. Some of them were his, but a lot of them were the other guys on the album.
Yeah. But actually, after I listened to this album, I went back and listened to Smut Peddlers, which I remember liking a lot, and I'm like, I think this is a better. I think Smut Peddlers might be a better.
Yeah.
He's not saying anything on those albums either, but they're more coherent. Like he's got a topic that he's talking about. It's like all it's very. Yeah, it's a lot of perverted stuff, a lot of sex stuff, and he puts more like cohesive thoughts together about that topic.
Yeah, I mean they're not like the most fantastic meanings.
No,
it's
but
not like the best things, but they actually have some type of purpose.
Yeah, and maybe to him, a lot of this stuff that he's saying, like I don't know, it does mean stuff, but
what's strange is because like how later in life, like just looking at a lot of their Instagram and Twitter feeds, they like. You talk about people that have distanced themselves from how they were really young in life. I mean, Mr. Eon couldn't be more different, unless it's just a show that he's putting on now. I mean, couldn't be more different than like just how abusive of women and how
well, he's like a family guy now with like he's obsessed with the Eagles and just like hanging out with like I don't know who his family members are, but he's like hanging around with little kids and which obviously
everybody matures. But
not even matures. I actually I'm in this like other hip hop, it's like a classic hip hop Facebook group, and I kind of just joined it to see recently to kind of see what was, what people were talking about and get some ideas for other albums and stuff like that. And actually, somebody posted a Special Ed album or like a Special Ed song. I was like, oh my god, I forgot about Special Ed. So I went back and listened to listened to. I think one of his albums, I don't know what it was called, Revelations or something like that, maybe. And I listened to the whole thing through. I'm like, I love this album. I completely forgot about this album, and I listened to it twice since somebody posted about it.
That's great.
Anyway, neither here nor there. But somebody in the group posted, "Do you need the people to be living what they're rapping about in order to enjoy it?" It's like a back and forth on there. I'm like, I never needed that. You're allowed to like tell a story or like play a character. And so I never expected and you don't think Eminem is actually putting his wife in the trunk and and if you look at Mr. Eon, you don't think he's this woman like he talks
lining them up and knocking them down
exactly
the way that he discussed he was
exactly
at least I don't think you never know.
No, maybe there's women love confidence. If he had confidence, maybe he did, but
he's got the gift of gab and some confidence. You never know.
He didn't have the look of somebody who was like I'm gonna play get into a little bit dirty. So this is Dirty Decibels featuring Pharoahe Monch, who I mean, I'm surprised. So, as a white guy listening to rap music, you're like, when you hear a white guy that's like, oh, this guy can rap. Like you're like, okay, yeah, we're in the culture, we're being accepted. And Pharoahe Monch was such like such a strong black presence in rap music. Same with Mos Def, who appears on this album. They talked about being black so much, and they, like you wondered with some of these guys, like, do they like white people a lot? Like they don't. I feel like they don't love white people a lot, and like I'm like, and I get it. Like I don't expect them to like white people, or like do they like white rappers coming into their culture? Like are they not? So when they show up in this album, it's like, oh, cool. Like they're getting co-signed by legitimate people who. The culture that was based on these people, Pharoahe Monch and Mos Def, and but then you also think but they were on their they were all on Rawkus as well, so it could have just been like a record label putting it together.
You had to, it was part of your deal.
You got to
everybody has to be on everybody's record. Although Mr. Eon wasn't on any of theirs, I don't think. So that's maybe that's a little telling.
Yeah, they weren't knocking on like you got to get this guy on my album. They were like,
No.
but they're like, yeah, can you lend some credibility to this guy by putting
Yeah.
a verse on his album? Or they didn't even know what album they were going on. Like, yeah, we got this group High and Mighty. Can you put on a verse? And they weren't even in the studio at the same time.
Yeah.
Like how many times does that happen? Like where a rapper puts on a verse and he's not even in the same studios. They just send it to them and say, yeah, use this. But anyway, this is Dirty Decibels with Pharoahe Monch.
The protege of the soul sonic. Who want it? Entice you an addict to my phonics. Pharoahe. Microphone mutilator, ill translator.
Of course, Pharoahe only gets the chorus too.
Yeah, he didn't have a verse on this?
No.
That's right. Mos Def had a verse and kind of did not the chorus, but he sang like,
Yeah. Yeah, he started it
B-Boys
off.
Rock the Document.
He kind of whatever that you want to call it, and then Mad
Yeah.
Skillz has a verse. I think him and Mad Skillz must be boys because he's been on a couple songs with him, and you have the Shaquan and Eon song.
Right.
So
Right,
obviously
right.
they're
a little bit closer.
They're pals.
Uh-huh. I pulled another bit towards the end of this. I thought was worth playing.
Outspoken with shit you be quoting. Slay aliens with this mic I be toting. Then rhyme over techno. Defeat from my echo. Chop limbs, torsos, bodily morsels. Stay mind boggling. You can't equate the essence of the turntable plate is a steak.
Yeah, like it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It sounds good. It's like, but it's a lot of boasting. It's really just a lot of boasting. This album
Pretty much,
is
yeah.
a ton of boasting.
Yeah.
Which is fun. It's the beats are good. Although I did come to find out, and I will get to it when it comes, but that High and Mighty or Mighty My produced most of the album, not all of it, and one of my favorite songs is not produced by him.
Yeah, the half.
Are you thinking about the half? Yeah, exactly.
half,
Yeah. Which I think that's so funny. It's like, oh man, it kind of takes away from the album. So, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he's like a house DJ, like a party DJ now. Like he does electronic music. Like he's completely different than he was then.
Yeah, I know he's still a big hip hop guy because he always talks about like his favorite tracks, his favorite like opening tracks, his favorite solo tracks on like a group album. Like he's a big time hip hop. Like he's still he still lives in the music world. Whereas Eon, he could be a garbage man for all I know. I have no clue what he does.
I don't know what he's. Yeah,
I mean, he could run the High and Mighty website, and all he does is get merch sales. I have no clue, but
did you say because he put up a post recently where he had like he was selling like a t-shirt, High and Mighty t-shirt. Yeah, but I think it's funny because in the High and Mighty t-shirts, good job. They have a clip from the album.
He's wearing an awesome Mets jacket in that.
Yeah, of course. Like you don't fall out of love with rap music, hip hop. But I also I like electronic music. I like dance music. So it's like if I had the ability to go out and spin records, and like those guys make a ton of money. So it's if you saw an opportunity to make more money just spinning records, do that. But this is Top Prospects featuring Evidence and Pharoahe. Who are like underground legends, both of them. So like. I mean,
at the time, I guess they weren't though. Like Evidence, I didn't even know about him until.
Well, they're what? Dilated Peoples, right? Aren't they?
I don't
Dilated
know.
Peoples. So they were.
I should know, and I don't.
Yeah, they were big in a group, just not like you didn't know who they were as like.
Now, didn't Evidence rap with Slug on a couple things?
Yeah, because Evidence signed.
Else? Yeah,
Evidence signed to Rhymesayers, and like they rap. Yeah, I'm looking for. This is groundbreaking stuff. Yeah, so Dilated Peoples was Evidence, DJ Babu.
Okay. Now it's coming back.
But I don't see Pharoahe. I think Pharoahe. So I was questionable if he was in Dilated Peoples, which it's embarrassing to not know that. But I wasn't. I liked one of their. I liked The Platform was like an album that I really got into by them. But I never dug deep into Dilated Peoples. I liked Evidence, and they all love photography, which I like. That's like Evidence's thing. Like he loves photography, and I always thought that was cool.
That's it. You know what? That's why I know that he does a lot of the photography for a lot of the Rhyme Sayers stuff.
Yeah, well,
I'm
like they
pretty
shot.
sure, like
Yeah, and I think
he's
he
on
got
tour with Slug.
He got Slug into photography, like shooting photography, and yeah. So yeah, this is. I don't know if I grabbed any of them, but this is Top Prospects, which I guess is a sports reference. A lot of sports references on this.
Oh, yeah.
Great beat. Love this beat.
This is a great beat.
Yeah.
It's a good song. I mean, it just talks about nothing.
Yeah.
My defense is tight like Jason Sehorn. All these corn on the cob. Slop will pop, now they popcorn. Plus I got a bucket of them, so stick it to them. Bring Rawkus to them, slip the duckers to them.
Yeah, he doesn't worry. Like it's. I don't know what else to say. Like you hear him rap. He can rap. He's got a great voice.
Great voice.
You know, very original voice.
Yeah.
You don't. You know. Maybe because I know what he looks like, it makes sense to me. But I'm thinking when I first heard it, I'm trying to think back. Like I think I was surprised to find out. Who,
I mean, I would say even today, if I heard him talk, I wouldn't be picking him out of a lineup. If I was going by the voices, I'm like, I'm not going to be picking him.
Yeah. I love this. Is one of my favorite beats on the album.
Yeah. Now, what did they do when they came to the Cop Shop? Because that's why we love them so much. Obviously, we got to talk to them and see them live, and it's such a small, little, like, intimate atmosphere. Yeah. But that was the Smut Peddler stuff, I think, because Cage was there. I'm pretty sure.
He
it was like a Smut Peddler. I'm pretty sure that's what that was. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember if Mighty Mai was there, or
I think
if
he was because I remember 3 of them, unless there was another rapper there. I think it was Cage, Eon. I'm pretty sure it was the 3 of them.
Yeah, maybe it was. It's just, I mean. We talk a lot about the Cop Shop, or we have mentioned it here and there, and let's suspect that somebody who doesn't know who we are or live on Long Island ends up listening to this. Ends up listening to this show.
Very true.
Unrealistic, but let's assume it happens.
Yeah.
Cop Shop was like a small independent hip hop store in the town that we grew up in. Very unassuming town, mostly white people. Just for whatever reason, Smithtown, everybody loved hip hop music in the town. Just not everybody, but there was a huge hip hop scene, and there was kids we went to that rapped, all white kids, and like some of them were pretty good. You know, they would be good. There was a Commons in our school, and kids would just break dance in the Commons, and those kids were pretty good. It was just like a very, we didn't just like rap music. Kids like in our school, like they loved hip hop music. They loved
the culture of it, the whole
culture
thing,
of
graffiti.
it. Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of graffiti.
Yeah,
it was just the whole culture. And I don't know if maybe it was just because it was mid to late 90s, if it just so happens that it was just coincided with just a lot of that underground, like hip hop culture type of thing where it really became popular, and these people became idols and of us at that age because we were impressionable. But I mean, it really was the whole scene. It was, I mean, that was the place to be. Everyone wanted to go there and hang out because you never knew who was going to be there.
Yeah. So
I obviously missed out on a lot of good stuff, but the stuff I was there for. I mean, it just so happens the owner we went to high school with, and we were buddies with to a degree, and we got lucky.
So this guy is Eddie Etter, who was I believe I never heard him rap, but I always heard that he rapped and he was a good rapper. But once he got to the he started this store called the Cop Shop, and it was just hip hop records and whatever he sold whatever was related to hip hop. He sold some graffiti paraphernalias, DVDs. But he would he had connections to like these really great underground rappers, and he would bring them into these in-stores. And I thought about like reaching out to him and having him on the podcast and, talking about that. Like that would be, I think it would be pretty interesting to hear him talk about it.
That would be pretty awesome. He definitely, he wouldn't remember me. He might remember you were there a little bit more, but.
Yeah, I literally used to sell bootleg CDs out of there. Because you couldn't. Yeah, so I don't know if I think I talked about this on another podcast, but we also did one podcast that never got released. So I don't know if it was.
That was the double podcast.
Yeah, we redid it. So I used to sell MC Juice.
Yep.
who never put out an official album back then. We had a bunch of songs that I downloaded illegally and nobody could ever find. So I used to put them on CD and I used to sell them out of there, and I feel guilty. And also, Last Emperor put out this album, Legend of Bigfoot, that was kind of like never.
And everybody wanted that. Everybody wanted that album. Nobody could find it. Everybody
could find it. I don't know why nobody had access to Napster. I guess I was the only one that had interest, or LimeWire at the time. I don't know, but I made CDs of it and I used to sell them out of there. And
and you think like in this day and age that'd be readily available? You can't find that thing anywhere other than YouTube.
Still,
people just upload like bootleg copies to YouTube, and that's the only place you can find it.
So Eddie used to always be like, you got to bring down more. He goes, those things sell like immediately. You got to keep bringing them down. But I always felt bad. Like I would make 10 at a time and I'd drop them off. And I always felt bad. I'm like, I'm stealing from this guy that I love. Like I love this rapper and I'm stealing money from him. But then Last Emperor ended up coming down to the store. And I think people had him sign this bootleg copy, and they were like, "What is this?" And they're like, "I don't know, just sign it."
It's nothing.
Yeah. So, just a really cool thing to have in your backyard, like literally in this town where just there's no reason for this great record store, and it didn't last, and I always feel bad, like I should have supported it more, I should have gone more, because it was also.
It lasted
do you remember
for longer than I thought it would. I think it was 5-6 years maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, at least that. Yeah.
And I mean, he obviously knew a lot of people because the way it was decorated was all pictures of him and these famous rappers. So I remember like Rakim was on there. That was a big one. I was like, wow, Rakim. He's like just sitting there hanging out with him. I'm like, wow, this is big. He knows a lot of people. And
I don't know how he got those connections. But there was a website that I used to buy a lot of stuff from, and I always felt bad buying it from there. And I can't remember the name of it. It was like Automatic something, or do you remember like that?
Oh man,
it was like a very bare. It was like a very bare bones. It wasn't even like pictures. It was literally just like a list of like artist album name. Like you would have to like one of them was in blue, like a clickable link, and you would click it, and like, and you'd be able to play parts of the songs. And I bought. And that was not downloading. They were actually buying these CDs and records from that. And I bought so much from that website, and I always felt bad being like I could go to the cop shop, but he'd be like, oh, I don't have it, but I can order it. And I'd be like, I can order it. Yeah. I went through the same thing at Best Buy. Yeah. I went to go buy a mirrorless camera, and the guy's like, I'm looking for the Nikon Z6 II. And he's like, all right. He goes, I think we have it. He goes, we'll go over there. He goes, we can order it. And I go, yeah, I can order it. I have Amazon. I don't know if you know that.
So I don't have to order it.
Yeah. I wanted it now, but if you're going to order it, I'm going to get it sooner if I get it from Amazon. So thank you for your time, but you're obsolete. So thank you. But I always feel bad. Like I should have. And there was apparently a documentary that they were working on about it, but I haven't seen anything about it. So anyway, so High and Mighty. I'm not. Listen, we got to be able to. It's like it was so. This other podcast. Listen to other podcasts like about one topic. Like they spend very little time talking about that one pod. We gotta.
We'll get to it.
We're so handcuffed to be like this has got to be. There's just a lot of songs to get to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we don't need to listen to all of them. There's 19. Half of them are skits. Half of them are.
Yeah,
bad.
I'm not gonna play any. I'm not gonna play any of the skits. And then there's So High and Mighty came, but it was this. Smut Peddlers was essentially High and Mighty plus Cage, and it was and there was just all. It was all the content was just kind of sexual.
Hence the Smut Peddlers.
And then even Dick Starbuck. This next song, Dick Starbuck, was his alter ego on Smut Peddlers. So this was the start of that.
Porno Detective.
Porno Detective, yeah.
Prize before my eyes and played to a T. It was Mike's number on the caller ID. What we had, don't feel bad. Take more than Loretta to make East sad. Take the L like the Packers. See you next season. Maybe next game, Eon will be cheating.
Mr. E, I know you want to be with me.
So he's talking about this. Dick Starbuck. What's funny because at the end he talks about getting cheated on, and he's like he gets hurt by a woman. I'm like this is no porno detective. The beginning of it was more like just sexual, but then it leads to the story of him, why he doesn't want to open up to this woman because he gets hurt by him. So I was like,
is he like the detective? Meaning he's the PI. He's going out and trying to catch this woman cheating on him or something.
Maybe yeah.
That's the detective part, but
yeah. So this was this next one, B-Boy Document. This was like the single.
Yeah.
This was on Soundbombing or Lyricist Lounge? Soundbombing, I think. Soundbombing 2?
I don't know. I can't find Soundbombing anywhere, so maybe.
Yeah, I think it was on Soundbombing. I think it was on Soundbombing 2.
Okay.
B-Boy Document, maybe Lyricist Lounge. I don't know. Those like all three of those albums to me, I kind of blend together.
Yeah.
It might have been Lyricist Lounge. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
But yeah, that was on this first, and then
they put it on that after.
And then they put it on. And they put it on this album.
Yeah, which would make sense that it was like Soundbombing 2, because Lyricist Lounge came out. That was like one of the first ones. So and this came out after in '99. So yeah, I mean, they must have just threw it on another album.
We could look it up, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
it means nothing.
It means nothing. So I think I have Mos Def's part of Mos Def's. Also, like this is like the most, and it's the least. Mos Def has ever said on a rap too. Like he gave them nothing on this. Like
no,
it's fun. It's very similar to what Eon's doing. It's kind of like just a lot of nonsense. Like I'll play.
You could collect your little petty cash advance. Ho, you knock me and sloppy, but not me. I'm INDEPENDENT. Yo, it was a jam at the center and the party was shaking and the poppers was popping and the breakers was breaking and it won't be known to everybody know that B-boys rock. Document the way.
Yeah, I mean, Mos Def's got another great voice. I'm such a big fan. Like a voice is so important to me, so that always sticks out to me. But, yeah, he didn't say
not much. I mean, it was like he just opened up his book of shit. So he's like, all right,
yeah, he's like, all right, these guys, yeah, these white boys want white boys need a verse from me. All right, yeah, this is something I would never put on one of my own songs. Here you go. Yeah, because he said some nonsense on his own records too, but he is capable of saying some real stuff. So
yeah, I mean,
but he did not do that on this.
Yeah, his first album still one of the best album covers of all time.
Yeah,
I mean, you just gotta have some balls just to put your face right as the album cover.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Jedi Master, Mace Windu. What you been through? Keep MC's head wrapped like Erica Badu. Hip hop's Cleon Jones when Eon Jones whackers MCs. We pee on those. No need to impede the high and mighty mystique. That shit would be as ignorant as Jimmy the Greek.
Little Jimmy the Greek reference.
Yeah, he's got a nice little 1969 Mets reference in there with Cleon Jones. Nobody is gonna know these references.
Yeah, I didn't know until just a few seconds ago that was a Mets reference.
Yeah.
And I was a Met fan.
And that's why I love Pharoahe Monch so much too. I mean, he's a great follow on Twitter because he's such a huge Giants and Mets fan, which is rare.
Oh yeah,
and obviously that just happens to be who I like.
You.
And
he's such a Queens guy.
And it's just that's all his Twitter is for the most part. And it's fantastic. Like he lives and dies. Like every night when the Mets are playing, it's like I had to shut it off. I'm losing my mind. And he's like, I gotta go for a run. And then he comes back 2 seconds later. All right, what happened?
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to know people you're fans of that they're fans of things as well.
Yeah, I like him even more. I'm like, all right, yeah, man, you're now one of my favorite rappers of all time.
Yeah. And then this was the last hit with Eminem. I mean, let's call it what it was. Like at the time, couldn't have been a bigger Eminem fan. No. So Eminem shows up on a record. It's like, wow, holy shit! This is more Eminem. You know, let's. The fact that we haven't done an Eminem album, I think we're putting it off.
We're just putting it off because I mean it's too.
It's too on the nose.
Yeah, we're trying to do other stuff. Like I don't know if we're trying to seem like, oh yeah, we know all this other stuff, but I mean, let's be real. He was the first white guy to be like a big time rapper, and we're like, hey, he looks like us.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I literally bleached. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I literally bleached my hair. You know, like it's so funny because I saw some girl who was like dressed like Billie Eilish, like, and I was like, and you see that a lot with people who are fans of music and like they take on like they start dressing or like. I'm like, just be yourself. I'm like, Billie Eilish, reason she's cool is because she does things that nobody else does. She wears clothes that like she doesn't care about. I'm like, just be yourself. That's what she's trying to tell you to do. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like I loved Eminem and I just literally bleached my hair because he did that like that.
Yeah, I think on multiple occasions too.
Yeah, I let it go.
It wasn't a one-time bleach. It was a multiple bleach.
Yeah, I had a routine.
Yeah.
And then you see where that got me. You know, I don't know if that helped, but so let's.
Got hope, job, hold a second. Brain of Satan. Have your vegan girlfriend cooking up bacon. On barbiturates with that shit that you hit. Smoke my spliff with you, cause spina bifida.
My 9 is lifting you 6 feet when I spray rounds. Hit you with 12 shots in midair and 4 more on the way down. It's 8 strays grazed through a kid's hair on the playground. You lay down on a stretcher.
Get carried away now.
No pun intended.
I love that, yeah.
It's just so creative because, like, he's rhyming on somebody else's album, and he's like, but I need you to produce, like, this separate thing for me because I'm going to rhyme, and then I'm going to have, like, me in the background.
A little character in the back,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like, I need you to do that for me because I'm Eminem, and that's kind of how this goes.
Yeah. I also love that he carries on Eon's rhyme. Like, he rhymes.
Yeah.
Eon stops rhyming, and then Eminem rhymes what Eon just would rhyme. I always love when a feature does that, when they pick up this rhyme scheme from that. And then I think kind of just went back and forth on this, right?
Yeah.
I'm exercising, doing liftings and twistings. This thing's the nicest. I keep telling you, what the fuck this guy on the corner been selling you?
I'm emailing you at the wrong website, misspelling you. Prank you and put the fear of hell in you. Escape Bellevue, stuff the nurse in the purse. Disperse like I added too many words in the verse.
Disperse, like I added too many words in the verse. Like, yeah.
That's a perfect example of what you were talking about earlier. And then he keeps going on after that, too.
Yeah.
Perverted version of birth.
Although when I listened to this whole song back, it reminded me of so remember Rise, the rapper Rise. So
sure.
Yeah, he was on a couple. Yeah, so he never
Your rhymes
did
petite,
more.
mine shop at Lane Bryant.
Yeah, I love him. I actually went back and listened to this because a lot of what they say on this rap reminds me of something Rise said, where he rapped kind of like this, like he kind of said a bunch of nonsense. And then he says, y'all don't really listen to lyrics if you thought that was ill. Is something like that. Like he said, he goes, that's how audio sound. You make it whatever. He goes, and then he goes, y'all don't really listen to lyrics if you sound like. So I think he was criticizing specifically Eminem, because Eminem does sometimes say a lot of things just in order to rhyme.
Correct.
But it doesn't really make a lot of sense. No. Like it's like he's kind of just jamming it so it sounds good, and I'm okay with that. Like if it sounds cool, whatever. But I was gonna.
Well, I mean, he started off as a battle rapper, so that kind of comes with the territory. Like, when you're doing that, you're just trying to come up with words and sentences. Moment, and he just brought that over into a lot of his writing. Yeah,
but so there's definitely some criticism there with how exactly he's going about approaching rapping. But that Rise, I mean, he's got so many good verses. Like there's a couple of Rise songs, like I feel like I just want to like do a couple of, I don't know if he has an album to speak of per se, like he has albums but not to go over, but a couple of his songs would be like word by word, or sentence by sentence would be fun to go over. All right, so I'm skipping the skit Ayo, which is like just a bunch of like moaning and groaning about innuendo.
High and mighty nicest, too hot, spinnable. Mr. Eon frequencies untransmittable. Come around the way we don't act hospitable. Can't see us, so on stage we invisible.
Hospitable, hospitable. like a good example of what we're dealing with on this album. And then I skipped ahead a little bit here. I don't know.
Kill Billy Blanks with Tabo, puffin' hydro. But guess what, kids? I wasn't even high though. 1,030 words can't describe my sturdy turds. I'm stirred like 30 nerds.
Sturdy
doing
turds?
the dirty bird in Atlanta. Trash, skidded up Pampers. Looking like some old washed up exotic dancers.
It's
I'm gonna be using sturdy turds from now on. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah.
Just a whole lot of nothing.
He's not winning a Nobel Peace Prize, but he'll be in a cipher. He can keep his he can hold his own in a cipher, but he's not winning any Nobel. He's not winning any writers awards.
No. And then the meaning right after that.
This is the meaning.
Hospitable clip.
Said I had a Lexus or a triple beam, I get a deal. I'd rather speak upon Overeat's cheek steals. It's the outer paper, not the caps I peel. I use my independent money to pay the rent, remaining hell bent. And fall from heaven sent, where they went, the days when mics got destroyed, bees just bored and soft punks got toyed.
This was a Mighty My beat, right? Because I do like this one a lot.
I think it was.
Yeah, Mighty Mike. Yeah, I mean, he did all, but
except for the half.
He didn't do Top Prospects, which I don't love that much. That was Alchemist. And then the half and Weed, which I don't care for that song very much.
Who did the half? Was it Alchemist as well, or somebody else?
That was Reef.
Reef,
who I've never heard of, and Alchemist also did Open Mic Night.
Okay.
Yeah, which is another great. That beat's not. We'll get to it when it comes, but yeah.
But yeah, the meaning he's just talking about underground hip hop, what he's kind of going through at the time. So I mean, it's like one song that actually has a meaning.
Have some meaning to it. Yeah.
And
he was so impressed with himself.
It's the one song that actually means something. So I'm going to call it the meaning.
I'm going to call it the meaning. Yeah. This is a little bit of the out, like just the.
Gangstar and DOC.
I mean, these guys definitely they love hip hop music. Like they shout it out a lot, and they, you know what they do on this album a lot? The outros. I don't know if you noticed. Are so long in this album. Like they'll stop rapping, and it'll be another 45 seconds of just the beat and a loop, and like it's on almost every song. It's just like the outros are just so long. Now this was the beginning of Smut Peddler, so this is in-outs, which is a phrase used in Clockwork Orange, which Cage was obviously a huge fan of.
Yeah,
and
he was Agent Orange.
Agent Orange, yeah. So this is them rapping about the in-outs, and then I guess the birth of the Smut Peddlers.
I pedal smut like paper routes with no drought. Give it in-outs and more in-outs.
I spray fluid by the ounce, your pouch get pounced.
Give it in-outs and more in-outs. I pedal smut like paper routes. Your mom's house catches in-outs and more in-outs.
I spray fluid by the ounce, your pouch get pounced.
I spray fluid by the ounce.
In-outs and more in-outs.
And I put more, I don't know why.
Scribble declarations, cause mental patience needed. Turn a dominatrix to a submissive cheerleader. Bite it, beat it, eat it, hit it, quit it.
Yeah.
Then I stick my fingers in the fucking mouth for critics. Day in the life for Agent Orange, Matt, E.T., paraphernalia. Try local trots in the area. Storm the grounds with 4 pounds, I exist through the rounds. Taking out on my mom's born with legs and arms bound.
We spit phlegm that's outrageous, like sneaker prices. Mics get wet like dildo devices. Bleed from sores that's pus ridden. Plus hidden in a Cracker Jack, surprise your demise.
You know, he said, what was the line before dildo devices?
Like sneaker prices.
Mics
get wet like
Mics get vices,
Mics
like
get wet.
It goes to show, like, I think I could ever been a rapper. Like, I never would have thought to add the word devices to dildo just to make it rap, like, make it rhyme. Like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. It's just like sneaker prices, all right, dildo devices. Like, that's a fun rhyme.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So they like after they made that Smut Peddlers album, they have serious beef. Like they're not on good terms at all anymore.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Cage wrote a song about them, like saying like they fucked up his whole project, and like they're not. I don't know. Well, I don't know if they are right now, but there was a while there where they were not. And it's actually the song that Cage wrote about them is one of my favorite Cage songs, which is heartbreaking. That it's like I'm rocking out to the song that's completely shitting on.
So he's from Middletown, and when I went to school up there at Delhi, I went to school with someone he went to high school with. So I dropped this girl off. I forget her name, but we stayed at her parents' house for like a night and then we went back to Long Island after that. And she knew him, like he grew up in that neighborhood, and that was funny because I was talking about them at that point. This was like after 2000, so. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, listen to Smut Peddlers, and she goes, oh yeah, I know that guy. And,
that's so funny.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, he's just as dirty as what he says on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he lost a ton of weight after that too, because he was like kind of beefy, and then he lost a ton of weight. I think he's like a pretty skinny dude now, but yeah,
he is. He's like an emo kid.
Yeah.
It's so funny talking about that. Like I remember I was listening to an Apathy album once. I think it's the Bootleg album.
Yes.
And he's got you open up, he's got an album with like a picture of him like on the couch with 2 girls and whatever. And I was playing it, and Tom was in the car, and he was looking through it because he's from Connecticut. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, he goes, I go to school with that girl. He's like,
that makes a lot of sense.
That was like the closest I had to, where was I? It was in-outs. So there's Paper Place. This is going to skip. So this is Shaquan and Neon.
I know it took 2 MCs. He take 2 of me. Fuck open mic night, I wreck these karaoke's. These stones be empty like a crack addict. You had it to act wicked, my tactic. My grammar and prose, wreck any zip code. The C4 metaphor about to explode.
Because it's empty like a crack addict's attic. Like, I guess because they sell everything.
Yeah, they got on the left. They sold all of it. That's a good rhyme.
Yeah.
I like that.
Can get slammed. I'm scared of one rapper, and his first name is No Man, last name from nowhere. Watch what you say. The way I play rappers, nigga, I need to be a DJ.
I do shows in South Park, kill Kenny with my mic. Stay the sweatshop girl just to get some free Nikes.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm listening to I'm like, this is better than it's a good album. It's just
I mean, you can't think, you just don't go into it like it's something that you're like, oh man, I like in a serious mood, I want to listen to something that has some meaning to it. This is not your go-to. This is not really where you're going to be catching any type of enlightenment from.
Yeah. So initially, I wanted to bring our friend Tom for the listener. He wasn't a rap fan at all, but for some reason he took a liking to this album. He was like, "Oh, I like this album a lot," and I was always wondered why this album. There was something that he, I
don't know.
Yeah. Because he would bring it up to me like years later. It's like, oh, you still listen to High and Mighty? And I was like, oh, yeah, here and there. I heard that Mad Skillz, I think, like ghostwrites for a lot of people, or did back then. That was always what I heard about him. Like he used to write for a lot of rappers, which I could believe.
Yes.
All right, so this I think is my favorite song on the album.
Definitely, it is 100% my favorite.
Yeah,
either that or the meaning, or
it gets really like the end of the album, like the like the end of the album is, I think, is stronger than the beginning of the album. So it starts with this. This beat is crazy. Yeah, and it's not Mighty Mighty.
Shorty's like my split finger, like Drew Suter. You caught in this web of the spike, and the might be slightly vital. Entirely the ones who leave your sun rayless. Now your style cheaply made like a pair of Payless. Bigger part your.
Yeah.
A lot of sports references in this song. A lot.
Yeah.
The shorties are loving the split finger.
Yeah. Just him. I mean, that's a great.
So
great
Reef,
beat.
I've never heard of him before or after. So like, you think he just made this one beat and he's like, that's it. That's as good as I can do.
Sold it like on quits. Yeah, well, like
unless you went under another name.
What's that website? SoundCloud. So there's SoundCloud rappers, but there's also a ton of SoundCloud producers now so they just put up beats, and rappers can search through SoundCloud and buy beats from people, and like that's all you need. So there must have been some type of version of that then. Mm-hmm. It's just surprising that Mighty Mai would be like, yeah, you can rap over somebody else's beat. Like, are we a group or not? Like, do you want to put out a solo album? What are we doing?
It says DJ Mighty Mai on the album cover.
Yeah, like High and Mighty. Like it says High and Mighty, and then the Mighty part would be me. So where's the Reef come in? But maybe they just heard it like, no, we don't want anyone else having that beat. We love it so much, but it fits. Like it sounds like yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it just sounds like it's something that it fits. It never stood out to me that
Yeah, I mean, if I was a rapper and I heard this beat, I'd be like, okay, that's mine. Like I'm gonna take that now. Before I buy that, before anybody else has an opportunity. I think don't they do a lot of that stuff on Fiverr now? Like, is Fiverr a big spot where people?
I don't know. They make beats on like.
I don't know. Like musicians, like they pay musicians to like make. Like, oh, I need a bass part, or I need a guitar part, or a piano part, or whatever.
Okay.
You can go on Fiverr. That's interesting. Like, you can have someone make like a title for our podcast, let's say. Like, oh, I make you. Yeah. Someone makes transitions. You buy it for $40 or whatever. Like, you can do all that stuff on that website. But I wonder.
You can.
Yeah, if it's the same thing for music like that.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I sent a message to my cousin Charlie, who was a musician, and. Yeah. I said, I want to get together. I want to make let's record something. I said, I want to, get on Zoom with you and talk about music, whatever. I don't know how I worded it, but he thought I wanted him to record me an intro, like for the pod. He saw that I was doing the podcast. He wanted to record an intro because he does a lot of he does some hip hop production as well. So we started talking. It was like I ended up talking to him for like over an hour about just music. And he goes, what is this? What are we doing? And I was like, I was gonna like release it because I didn't know what the plan was here. But then after I thought about that, I'm like, yeah, I should have him record, some
Yeah.
like original music for the intro.
He's got a nice little spot.
Yeah. Did you see the
I
thing
watched
that
it.
so I put it on
a
YouTube?
good chunk of it, yeah.
I wasn't gonna like I was this is for off air for sure, but
Oh, well.
so it was like over an hour conversation. I was gonna chop up little parts of it and put those on and release those, but then have the full conversation of whatever if anybody wanted to. So I hadn't really like promoted it yet, but I thought it was a pretty good conversation that him and I had. This is hands-on experience. Yeah. Which I guess is a masturbation reference.
Calluses on my hand,
There you go.
both left and right. That's a lead magazine and my loving hand with a tight slip. Put my wood in a vice grip and then Janet Jack me with them fine ass lips.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who talks about how good he is with the ladies, he talks about jerking off a lot. Yeah. Yeah. It's like this. You can't have both, brother. Like you're not either go with the ladies or you just love a different time.
You think like someone met him and like shook his hand and like, wow, you're not kidding about those calluses.
Yeah, you're really getting at it, huh? Yeah. Also, like, where do the calluses come from? Your penis is soft. Everything is soft. Where are the calluses coming from? Yeah. Like I've never had a callus on my hand. I work hard. I have calluses from that, but never from touching myself.
I mean, even if you forget the Vaseline at home,
the lotion. I know. Yeah. Still,
you're not gonna be scraping your hands up like that.
No, you have barnacles on your penis.
What the hell's
What's
going
happening? Never really into this.
This an agricultural service announcement. You can treat it and you can douse it.
Too much of an old school beat for me. I don't like old school beats, and it was about weed, which I don't smoke weed, so it was like I like some songs about weed, but it just not enough to keep me entertained. Open mic night. This was great because this introduced. I don't. I think this might have introduced me to Wordsworth at least, but I think he also might have been on some of those mixtapes. I don't know which came first. Those mixtapes.
Well, he was on the Lyricist Lounge stuff, so I think we heard that before this.
Yeah, I think probably.
Because we heard the Black Star.
It's all blur.
Black Star. I mean, it all blended together. It was all the same time anyway. So I mean,
it was all probably within a few months of each other. Where it was Black Star, Sound Bombing, this Eminem. It was like all right at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wordsworth. Yeah. I don't know what it was. It's like I guess I thought he just used the language better. Like he stuck out to me.
He's got a unique
more than anybody.
Voice. He's got a unique voice. He's got a unique style. He's really smart and like you can tell like how he just like works his verses. He's just he's an intellectual person.
A lot of wordplay, a lot of punchlines, and it was punchlines and Wordsworth, but they both used a lot of punchlines. But I always thought that Wordsworth used punchlines better. So it was ironic that he should have had the name Punchline more.
Mr. E.O.N. must be talk about me. The one and only high mighty MC who be perpendicular when I be taking ya. Eat smoke up on the size of a fibula. Prepare for the slaughter, the lyrical marauder. The freakable acts like me and your daughter did. I'll be coughing, laying in the coffin. Step out the fantasy world, you be lost in.
That's Mr. Young, and I think I took some of
Wordsworth track.
Yeah.
Let it be and commence the record to play. I'm so ahead of my time when I talk this 7-second delay. Don't judge the book by its cover when I'm inventing. I add your colon to my sentence and start the book off with your appendix. Dexterity hurl is about to rally the world. You can't write without using like. What are you, some type of valley girl?
I love that line.
Yeah, that is a great line.
You can't rhyme without using like. What are you?
There's just certain lines of his that I always remember and always repeat, no matter where what I'm listening to. I always remember Wordsworth lines.
Yeah, he's got a lot of those memorable lines. Mm-hmm. I was looking up some of this stuff, and I found out. I was looking up Gaston and
you were saying that
wise guy. Yeah, and I found out that they started the Lyricist Lounge. Like that was their whole thing. Like they kind of put that together.
And now he's a garbage man.
That's what.
Or a truck driver.
Yeah, I don't know what he's a truck driver or something. Yeah. I think they might do like a podcast or something together as well. But they kind of like they were like kind of a group. A Wise Guy and Gaston were kind of a group. But I don't know if they ever actually put anything out. Like, there's nothing. It's very hard to find.
No, I mean they were just on they were on Apathy. I mean he
Yeah,
does
they were, like,
hold one of
features
the
on-
best verses ever in the history of underground hip hop. I mean
Gaston.
Yeah.
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 And to think of him just like not rapping is like
Now
it's
he's
amazing.
like sweeping my porch after he delivers an Amazon package. I mean,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That just
What kind of-
doesn't.
that's an interesting delivery. Amazon delivery. Right? Sweeps the porch. It's a full service.
Yeah.
That's a full service delivery, man. So this is Mind, Body, Mind, Soul, and Body. I was gonna say Mind, Body, and something, but great scratching. Some scratching.
Signs artificial like blue blockers. Coming up with theories you can't ponder. The essays and thesis, I got a lot of. Like da like Joe Cocker. Call me in the knife and I'll be a stopper. Traverse the NY in my Eon copter. Fucking with the Starbucks, don't even bother. You be flirting with death like playing Frogger. Now a beat ain't a beat without a kick like soccer. I keep a bag of chronic.
When you rap with a clip, love it. I can listen to a whole album of somebody like setting up a rhyme, throwing in a clip, and rhyming with that.
Yeah.
They do that. I don't know how much you got into. What the hell is the
Aesop? Yeah, I've listened to multiple. I've listened to the albums multiple times. Yeah, Hail Mary Mallon.
Hail Mary Mallon.
Yeah.
They say kick a grape lady, and then she goes, "I can't breathe." But they throw to the clip of the woman who fell in the grapes, smashing the grapes, where she goes, "I can't breathe." So like they rhyme, and then they say kick a grape lady, and then she goes, "I can't breathe." Like, but it rhymes with like whatever they said before. I was like, I love anytime they throw it to a clip in that.
Yeah, because me too. Because I always think like, oh, where did they find the clip first, and then they wrote the rhyme so they can get the clip in there,
right?
Or did they write the rhyme and they're like,
I wonder how
about
they
the
did
clip.
it.
It's always
right,
got. I mean, you got to know the clip first, I'd assume, and then you're like,
you have to know the clip first, right?
And then I'll write a rhyme that kind of leads up to it,
right?
Yeah.
That's also like the phrase "I can't breathe" could come up you could see that coming up in a rap.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But and then we did that, right? Mind, Soul, and Body. Yeah. So I like that. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. Yeah. And this game, this is like almost like a bonus. It's not a bonus track, but it feels like a bonus track to me because it's like, I don't know.
A friendly game of football, you bound to get stuck. Turn your dome stadium into a frozen tundra. Then whip that ass on natural grass. While your turf's artificial, buying off the officials. You need a rebuild. My franchise on the rise. Up in the draft to get a key component. My special teams running back against opponents.
She's rapping about football.
Yeah,
I love football.
He does a great job of getting everything in there and making it cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun album. Not.
No.
Not. I think it was appropriately received. Looking back, I think I always felt like they should have been much bigger then. But looking back, I'm like, that was appropriate. Like they had a fair amount of success for a while, and I would love to know I would love if they were making music now. What if it would still sound like? But
yeah. And I always thought they were New York guys. I never knew they were Philly guys really until like later on. And obviously he's a huge Eagles and Sixers fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just always thought they were New York guys.
They
two Jewish guys from Philly.
Yeah, are they both Jewish?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm trying. I probably think of the same thing, only because a lot of match references and yeah. But and then the Eastern Conference All Stars album, that was a pretty good album too that they put out.
There was just so much stuff going on at that time. There was just like one after another. And
yeah, it was hard to keep
Talib's
up.
album, and Talib had 3. I mean, he like really hung on with Rawkus after everybody else kind of left. Like his first 3 albums were all on Rawkus, and that was all the way up until like 2005 or something like that.
Wow,
2006.
Yeah, he's like the last man standing.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of like the last guy there before the thing. And I think they brought it back at some point. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I read that too.
They
brought it back.
So many different other record labels, but. Yeah, I mean, for like a good 5-6 year span, I mean, they were cranking out like all the big time underground.
This was
that really helped. Yeah, keep that style alive to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. They were like what to the record company's credit, they were like, we don't care what's making money right now. Like they saw a market for this, small as it was, but it's like that still was like they're servicing a market for sure. So like that's you can make money on that, and I had something to say about that and it escaped my mind. But yeah,
well, then they came out with the TV show.
The Lyricist Lounge TV show. Yeah. Was Rawkus? Did they produce that? Was that like? They must have got some money.
They had MTV. They own the name.
Yeah,
they own the Lyricist Lounge name.
I like that a lot. That got made fun of. That got made fun of a lot. But that was like it was fun. It was funny. It wasn't supposed to be like serious rap. Like it was supposed to be
like Wordsworth
silly.
And Mos
somewhat.
Def like hanging outside on like I remember the one scene where they're outside the window like on the like the rafter or whatever the hell it was like on the and they're like rapping about the girl that's inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
fun.
A creative, good
show.
Like
and
fun just sitting there, and it was done live, so they're just sitting there like freestyle and making these scenes. I mean, there's a lot of skill involved in what they were doing.
Yeah, people would shit on that, but then people love Hamilton. It's like, what do we do? Like this is like if these guys wrote Hamilton, it would have been like way better rap music than.
Yeah, that's one thing I can't get into at all. I don't care if you like it or not, but people keep talking about this. I'm like, I watched 2.5 seconds of it. I'm like, just because. I'm like, there's way too many people talking about this. So you know what? I'm gonna spend. You know what? No. Nope. I'm gonna go watch something else I'll watch paint dry on YouTube.
Yeah. I've listened to it. I've tried listening to it like on Apple Music. I've pulled up my guy. Let me give it another shot. And I tried. No, I can't do it. And then Ron Bennington, he says, he's like, he's not a rap fan at all by any means. He goes, it sounds like Schoolhouse Rock to me. Like it sounds like he's like, listen up, kids. Well, I tell you about the, it's like I'm like, yeah, it doesn't to me. It surprised me like rap fans would love it. I'm like, really?
There's no way. The people that like it are people that think they like what rap music is.
Yeah,
or they like what rap music is. They don't like.
No, like I know like people who like truly love rap music, like, and they think that's great. Like I don't,
No.
All
right.
I was gonna say quick, like the whole Rawkus thing, like that was like that was predated the Rhymesayers thing, but that was like because then once I found Rhymesayers, I was everything Rhymesayers.
Yeah.
And I was like that was much more specific because it was one location. Rawkus was much broader.
Yeah.
But it was like I was obsessed with Rawkus. I had the Rawkus shirts. I wanted everything was like Rawkus. I was like I just wanted to represent everything Rawkus because it like opened up so much things, and it's funny to think about now. I would love a Rawkus T-shirt now.
Well, I would just like the graffiti art of like the hip hop guy from the first album.
The Lyricist Lounge
album.
The
Lyricist
Lounge.
I
like the Rawkus. I like the Rawkus logo though. Like, it was like a razor, like a curved razor or something like that. Yeah. 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 All right. Well, that was the album.
Episode 7.
Yeah.
Should have saved that for Lucy Ford or something.
Oh, we should have. Episode 7 absolutely should have been atmosphere.
Yeah.
Let's redo it. Let's do one.
We should have done Seven's Travels.
Seven's Travels, yeah.
7 or whatever the other 7 album is.
Yeah, we should have done that. That would have been nice.
We're not good promoters. We're not good at coming up with creative ways to introduce the episodes.
Not good at podcasting. Not good at talking. We shouldn't be doing this, but it's fun, and you all can go fuck yourselves. You don't. You like. If you're listening to this right now, you made it this far. What do you hate yourself?
Yeah. You have serious problems. You have nothing to do. You should go watch Hamilton.
You're a masochist at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you always end up picking out the next album. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have picked a bad. I mean, do we have to do Slim Shady LP at some point? Do we gotta like?
Yeah. I don't want to do 2 white rappers back to back because that seems like a lot.
That's not enough melanin.
Yeah.
In a row.
I
don't know. We'll
made a playlist. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We don't need to figure it out now.
We could.
All right.
Well, I was going to say
so every week I say we can figure it out later, and then you throw one out. Like, let's do that one.
A bunch. We could do Ready to Die. Because we have talked about it a bunch. It's a phenomenal album.
Let's do that because that's like the most. That'll be the most. Well, no, I mean, not the cow. Ready to Die was definitely bigger than. That would be the biggest album we've done and the most mainstream, and it's great. Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah, easy enough.
Good idea.
Ready to Die. Yeah.
That's all I'm good at. This whole podcasting thing, I'm good at picking an album.
It's good. No,
and even then,
we're learning.
I'm not good at fixing washing machines. That is a truth.
No, no good.
No
bueno.
No.
All right.
No, not good at that.
Okay, we'll see you next week then.
All right. Signing off.
Send me your thing. All right. Bye.
You a tough ass geezer. Give you props for that.